Hey guys, welcome to this week's video. For those of you that are new to my channel, my name is Lauren and I am a financial coach. So this week's topic is the growth mindset defined. In simplest terms, the growth mindset means believing that you can change your thoughts and behaviors. The opposite of a growth mindset is called a fixed mindset. Sounds pretty simple, right? It actually can be quite complex. But before we go any further about what it is or how to achieve it, I want to remind everyone that no matter what your age, you can change your brain. And I don't mean that in some kind of hokey way. I mean scientifically, anatomically, you can literally change the makeup of your brain. And I'm going to get into all that nerdy science stuff in a second, but I really just want to harp on this for a bit. Just like the muscles in our body, you can perform various exercises to literally change your brain over time. Okay, now for the nerdy science stuff. So I want you to picture yourself in that 9th grade bio class for a second. And no, don't worry, it's not that day that you're going to dissect the worm or the pig or whatever that gross thing was. Instead, we're going to talk about your brain. So your brain is made up of billions of tiny little nerve cells that we call neurons. And they all connect together through a network or a tapestry that looks a lot like the branches of a tree. You may have heard the phrase when you were younger, neurons that fire together, wire together. And no worries if you haven't heard anything like that, if that sounds like a whole nother language to you. It just means that when you connect certain neutrons together and you do it often, that you're actually changing the way that they connect together within that network. And this is due to something called neuroplasticity. When you use a certain wire or pathway often, the connection gets stronger and stronger. And ultimately, it even gets this protective coating on top, similar to a telephone wire, that thick coating on top that protects it. And this process is called myelination. Our brains are constantly searching for efficiency. So since the signals move faster as they go through those thicker wires or protected myelin coatings, your brain starts to favor them. Kind of like when we have two cell phone chargers. If you have one that's way faster at charging, it's kind of a no-brainer to pick that one first before you try the other charger, right? Well, your brain is doing the same thing. It's going with the most efficient pathway. So what does all this science mean in regards to our mindset? Well, it means that when you are repeating a thought, a feeling, an emotion, an action, a behavior, many times, you are actually making the pathway to that stronger and more desirable for your brain. So that is then in turn forming your habits, your emotional triggers, and then your patterns, whether they be positive patterns or negative patterns. So this whole concept of neuroplasticity is really important to remember because oftentimes people dismiss the idea of growth mindset because of their inability to accept the scientifically proven fact that you can change your brain. So why is a growth mindset beneficial in life and specifically as business owners? Well, if you have a growth mindset, chances are you are more resilient, you're better at dealing with and learning from failure. In fact, you welcome failure as a learning experience. You're more likely to challenge yourself or push the boundaries of your current thoughts or your current abilities. However, if you have a fixed mindset or less of a growth mindset, you tend to be less resilient. You struggle to deal with failure or being perceived as bad at something. And you really avoid challenging yourself because of the risk of that failure or showing the world your weaknesses. People with a predominantly growth mindset, and I say predominantly because it's really impossible to have 100% growth mindset or 100% fixed mindset. It's really a spectrum of those two extremes, and we find ourselves somewhere in the middle. But people who have a predominantly growth mindset believe that qualities can be increased or cultivated through effort. Things like intelligence, talent, personality. Now, it is true that we're all born with what I like to call our default settings, but people with the growth mindset recognize that that's just the starting point and not an indicator of the end point. In contrast, people with a predominantly fixed mindset believe that whatever you were given at birth or by a certain age will dictate your potential. In other words, they believe that people are just naturally or inherently more talented or more gifted or more intelligent than others, and that really can't be shifted. Now, please don't feel bad if you find yourself with this feeling to a certain extent. It is normal because we live in the Western world where we are hammered daily with the idea of natural talent, right? We focus on things like IQ tests or standardized testing at a very young age. And it's kind of either taught or insinuated that these tests will dictate your ability or your long-term potential. And you're just stuck with it. Kind of a it is what it is type of thing. But the idea of natural talent being the only indicator of success is really untrue, because many people put in the hard work and perseverance and they end up surpassing the naturals in the long term. I want you to think of sports, for example. Think of that naturally athletic kid from your elementary school that maybe like in 6th grade was just so naturally talented in basketball, let's say. But maybe they didn't put in that much hard work or practice because they were already so good. And think of that person that maybe surpassed them, but wasn't really considered naturally talented. However, by high school, they had really leveled up their game by putting in all-day practices and summer camps and so much more effort. So unfortunately, the emphasis of natural talent at a young age often discourages a lot of people from putting in that extra effort to excel because they just don't see their true potential. Another impact of this you either got it or you don't type of message is that people with fixed mindsets spend a lot of effort trying to just prove their natural abilities and intelligence. They want to look smart and give up immediately if they have any trouble doing something that they're not naturally good at. They think that having to work hard is embarrassing because it's highlighting that you're not intelligent or gifted enough to just do it naturally. And they often avoid challenging themselves or trying anything that is considered risky or beyond their natural talents. And they fear looking like a failure. And they often use that natural ability as an excuse or a reason why they didn't excel somewhere in their life. However, growth mindset people view failure as just a sign that they need to work harder, learn more, try a different approach. They value the effort and they welcome those challenges, and they learn from the failure and enjoy the process of learning. So having a growth mindset is crucial for a business owner. As a business owner, you are going to have to be performing some tasks that are outside of your natural or already developed abilities. For instance, you may need to speak in public, but in the past perhaps you feared public speaking and avoided it. Or maybe you need to work on your budget, but you've always had that fixed belief that you lack that natural ability to be good with numbers. However, if you recognize that you are capable of learning and that your ability with public speaking or your intelligence in math are not fixed, you'll be able to improve those skills and those areas and thus improve your overall business performance and revenue. As you know, I love to end my videos talking about the takeaways or kind of summarizing what we just spoke about. So I want to remind you of a few key points. Number 1, growth mindset means believing that you can change the behaviors and thoughts that you currently possess. Another thing that's an important takeaway is no matter what your age, you can change your brain. Remember, neurons that fire together, wire together. Also, it's not possible to be 100% of the growth mindset or 100% of a fixed mindset. It's more of a spectrum, and it can be separated by the specific area or the specific skill. For instance, you could have a growth mindset when it comes to writing ability, thinking that people can put an effort and become better writers, yet you might have a fixed mindset when it comes to someone's dancing ability, thinking they're either born to dance or not. So that's an example of where you can have differing mindsets in different areas. Another important takeaway is that if you feel that at least part of you kind of has that fixed mindset when it comes to intelligence or talent, you are not alone, but you can work on it to change it and make it become more of a growth mindset. And then the final takeaway is that if you change the way you think, that will in turn change the way you behave, which will in turn change your results or your experience of life in that area that you desire. Okay, so I want you to take some action steps or fun work. Get it? Homework, but fun work. It's not, homework has such a negative connotation, but this is really fun work. You're diving into what makes your brain think the way it does. So I want you to dig into those thoughts. Do you tend to exhibit more of a growth or more of a fixed mindset? And please break it down by topic, because again, you can have a growth mindset in one area and a fixed in another. And for instance, you could say, do you think someone's math ability is fixed or can it grow with effort? Do you think someone's basketball ability is fixed or can grow with effort? Do you think someone's social skills is a fixed skill or can grow with effort? So try to choose areas that are relevant to your life and relevant to your business, and write down where you currently fall on that spectrum between growth mindset and fixed mindset. Okay guys, that's all for today. If you liked this video, please click the like button down below, and please make sure to subscribe to my channel so that you get all of the new content as it drops right into your subscription feed. See you next week.